Hello, Guardians. Today is May 12th, 2023. My name's Danfinity, and welcome to Destiny Digest. Thanks to everybody who has listened to the show on various podcast platforms, and thank you to everybody on YouTube for subscribing to the channel. It means a lot to me. In between not only the audio subscribers, but also the YouTube subscribers, we have reached over 1,200 subscribers to the podcast overall. That is huge. Thank you so much for that. Couple things before we get into the news of the week. First of all, if you'd like to support the show by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform of choice, you can do so just like our friend Gray Fox, who says, awesome show for new lights and D2 vets, 5 stars. Dan has brought his years over from Planet Destiny into a new show, and it shows that Destiny 2 still has legs in this new format. Weekly guests, topics, and news that are a fresh perspective of the world of Destiny 2. Also, that laugh makes anyone chuckle. I have a couple internet comments to show you later. You're in for a good time, and your ears will thank you. Thank you once again, Gray Fox. That's extremely sweet of you to say. We are also raising money for the Bungie Foundation as part of the Guardian Games Cup. I will leave my link in the description for the show. My goal this year is $3,000. We're currently at $350 raised, so we're about a tenth of the way there. And at every $500 mark, I will be opening up a poll for chat to decide which class I'm going to play as next. So right now I'm running as a hunter, and hunters are doing okay. But if you would like to help guarantee that I play something else, make sure to donate to a good cause in the Bungie Foundation. If you give $25, you get the Quantum Relay emblem for your Guardian. So make sure to check that out. Once again, the link will be in the notes for the show. We got a hell of a show for you today. We got hotfixes. We got previews of Season 21, Season of the Deep. We also get a bunch of previews for exotic changes that are coming down the pike soon. And what I think is the highlight of the show, the State of PvP panel that I got to do with a very small hat, Ascendant Nomad, and Lego LaFlash. All excellent players, all really cool people and content creators. You should go check them out. That'll be at the end of the show. Next week, we will have a PvE panel with Above TP, Talk QWERTY to Me, Granddad Gaming, and Epic Dan. Should be a blast. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say about these shows. Enough housekeeping, enough about me. Let's talk about the world of Destiny 2. Tuesday, May the 9th, brought with it Destiny 2 Hotfix 7.0.5.3. It made changes to Nightfalls, where it reverted a change that removed the third refraction core in the heist battlegrounds. They also fixed an issue where previously defeated enemies and champions were respawning if players wipe in the Lake of Shadows boss room. Yikes. For Guardian games, they fixed an issue where the normal matchmaking options for Supremacy were missing their descriptions. They fixed an issue where the Heir Apparent quest and Catalyst were not progressing via most main medallion sources. They fixed an issue with the Fly the Flag bounty that was taking much longer than intended to complete. And finally, they fixed an issue with the Champ Seal was not able to be gilded. Gameplay and investment. This is kind of where some controversy came this week. They fixed an issue where swapping from a slug shotgun to another shotgun could allow massive damage output. There is now a 2-second window where a weapon cannot be fired after swapping to it from the inventory screen. That was the big community offender here. They also fixed an issue where Enhanced Eager Edge perk would deactivate earlier than intended. I haven't really been playing much Destiny 2 in the past few weeks, but I decided to log in to check out what this 2-second window felt like. And man, it's rough. It's not fantastic. It's pretty apparent who this change was aimed at. It was aimed at people who were, I don't know, solo flawlessing the Root of Nightmares raid and being able to put massive amounts of damage out to Nezarec. While I get that they probably didn't design it to be soloed, this change feels weird and clunky. I don't know if it's a dev side thing where they needed to change it for reasons, but it's one of those changes that felt very specific in scope. The next day, the D2 team did take to their Twitter saying, "We would like to give some extra context on the weapon swap delay change. The shotgun exploit wasn't the only issue we were seeing, and to safely fix the underlying problem, we needed to introduce a global firing delay when swapping weapons via the inventory screen. Due to the networking differences across players and environments, we couldn't guarantee the shortest possible delay would address the exploit. After closely observing the current behavior in the live game, we have enough information to dial this in more precisely and plan to reduce the weapon swap delay to about 1 second shortly after Season 21's launch later this month." Good luck to everybody who are swapping loadouts right now. I wish you the best. Wednesday also brought with it the Season 21 Exotic Armor Tuning Preview. We're going to skim through a lot of this information. We're going to hit the main players that we talk about in our PvP panel. From what I'm seeing, there's a lot of really good buffs in here. There's also some weird PvP nerfs as well. First and foremost, they stated that their two primary goals were settled on for this balance pass, where they wanted to identify underused armor pieces and revamp them to increase their appeal. That's awesome. There's a bunch of stuff that's in my vault that I've never even touched. I've earned it, but I've never touched because there's no utilization there for me. They always include, like, you have to do this, this, and this, and then you're able to do this, and then you're able to shoot the man. But looking forward to seeing what a lot of these changes are. They're also focusing on tuning down outlier armor pieces that are probably too powerful. For a hunter, we see the sealed Ahamkara grasps. The exotic will now reload the magazine of all your weapons when you defeat a target with your powered melee, and for 5 seconds after dealing melee damage, you get increased movement speed and jump height. Raiju's harness will now create a blinding explosion after deactivating your Arc Staff super that temporarily increases your arc weapon damage. However, blocking the Whirlwind Guard will no longer consume energy more slowly. I really like my pole dancers in Destiny 2 PvP. I haven't really used it that much in PvE. This is a really cool change, and I like to see that they're adding a little bit more of the verbiage to these exotic pieces. Stompies, this is probably one of the more controversial ones. They removed airborne effectiveness penalties. You only gain increased speed, slide distance, and improved jumping while your dodge energy is full. With the developer commentary being, "We want Stompies to have a strong fantasy, but permanent uptime for potent movement benefits that make targeting hunters in PvP very difficult on controller ends up making it too automatic of a choice, even with the prior airborne effectiveness changes. We're undoing that change, but tackling the uptime to try and make it so that you can use it to ambush or escape from an engagement, but not both." For Titans, we are seeing the no backup plans getting a complete rework, replacing the old functionality entirely. No backup plans will now provide a moderate benefit to the airborne effectiveness and reload speed of shotguns. While they have 2 void overshield, shotguns deal additional damage, and shotgun final blows refresh your overshield. While using a void subclass, rapid shotgun final blows or defeating a powerful enemy with a shotgun grants you a void overshield and kicks off your health regeneration. For the strongholds, they've replaced the healing from blocking shots precisely with significant damage reduction, about 50% in PvE and 10% in PvP, while blocking with a sword. When you stop blocking, you gain 2 times restoration with a duration that increases based on the number of shots you've blocked. With how ping is in the game, I can see strongholds not being able to effectively just pull out that wha-ching in order to block the shot in time, but this change is huge, especially with the damage reduction. Dune Marchers will see a reduction for range of the chain damage from 20 meters to 12 meters and PvP damage from 85 to 50. That's a huge cut for both. Dev commentary, the exotic sees a lot of use in PvP, but not much in PvE. These changes embrace that. The range on the damage chain made it very easy to get killed by the exotic without ever seeing the person killing you in PvP. So we reduced the range and tuned down the damage. I think something in the trials report this week showed that had 30% usage amongst Titans, which is a significant portion of Titans in trials. For Warlocks, we see the Vesper of Radius. Your rifts will emit an arc shockwave every 5 seconds that deals damage, and enemies defeated by these shockwaves explode for an additional 100 damage, and if you have an arc subclass equipped, also will blind nearby enemies. My god. The Starfire Protocol, everybody's favorite explosion fest. They reduce the amount of energy gained per instance of damage from 20% to 2.5%, with an empowered weapon kill now granting 20% of grenade energy. The dev commentary on this, oh, Starfire Protocol. The exotic has been strong for a long time, ever since Solar 3.0 dropped, and fusion grenades became much more powerful for warlocks. In making these changes, we didn't want to completely rob the exotic of its benefits, but right now Starfire Protocol is one of the best single target damage boosting exotics. Combine Wither Horde or Wolfpack rounds with a rocket launcher with Demolitionist, and you essentially have an infinite loop of rockets and double detonating grenades, and it's sucking all the air out of the room. These changes are intended to tamp down on passive weapon damage, giving you your grenades back too quickly. You still probably get an extra grenade or two per damage phase, while also pushing it away from single target damage dominance and more toward neutral play. When I'm swapping loadouts, I am swapping to this when I'm on my Warlock. Now, with 2-second delays for weapons and this nerf, I think I'm going to have to rethink that. Thursday brought with it This Week at Bungie, written by community manager Sam. Hi, Sam! I'm kind of liking the pace of Hotfix, Wednesday blog post, Thursday twab. It gives me something to look forward to at least 3 days of the week, and it makes my cramming for Thursdays for this podcast much more manageable. Let's see, we got an update on the teams and the rankings for Guardian Games Week 2. At the time that they posted this, first place was Titans, second place was Warlocks, and third place were Hunters. Once again, they're running the Guardian Games Cup, and if you'd like to give $25 to get an emblem for the Quantum Relay, once again, my link is in the show notes. Congratulations to all the teams that are participating and that are highly ranked here. I see Clan Archive up there for most money raised for the Bungie Foundation this time around. Good folks there. We also received a short 9-second clip from Deputy Commander Sloan, a little bit of a preview into Season of the Deep. Basically, it's Sloan saying, Guardian, I'm requesting backup, and then it shows you a bunch of underwater stuff. Really neat. Really, really neat. Skipping a little bit ahead in the TWAB, we get to see the ornaments that we will be getting in Season of the Deep for our Guardians. I kind of like the flowy tutu look. It's elegant. It's kind of beautiful to see. It reminds me. What does it remind me of? It reminds me of Waterworld. But like if Waterworld was about being underwater and tutus and stuff. We also get this look right down here. We are going underwater, our Guardian's greatest enemy. We will be going into one of these grottos in Season of the Deep, and it looks spooky and cool, and I can't wait. We also got a look at Season of the Deep's ritual weapon, introducing the Last Rite Scout Rifle. They say in the TWAB, this one is a bit special because it's a Tex Mechanica kinetic aggressive scout rifle. They also say they don't want to spoil too much, but they're going to give us a glimpse at all of the ornaments for the weapons. I don't find myself normally changing to the standard playlist ornaments. I kind of just like the look of the ritual weapons overall. But maybe that Vanguard one's worth something. I don't know. Maybe it'll grow on me. Couple more things before you get into our conversation with Lego and Nomad and Sarah. The new dungeon is coming at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on Friday, May 26th. Eververse is getting an update in Season 21 that showcases items recommended just for you. In addition to continuing to highlight specific items and bundles, the Eververse featured page will now have a shortcut to view certain recommended items that you don't own and might find are a great fit for your character. Not only that, but there will also be a tab when you can view your top 10 recommended items in one place, making it easier to find all your recommendations at any given time. This is a change that isn't really for me. I do sometimes shell out for different Eververse items if I feel like it, but more likely I'm trying to serve in the bright dust that I get season over season. This is cool for collectors who really want those little niche items, but with the price hike that's coming after next season, I think it's going to be harder and harder for them to get more money through microtransactions. Maybe I'm wrong, but that is just what I'm feeling and what I seem to be sensing in community sentiment as well. That's it for the news. Now for this conversation with Lego LaFlash, a very small hat, and Ascendant Nomad. Enjoy. Welcome, Ascendant Nomad, very small hat, and Lego LaFlash to Destiny Digest, the state of PvP panel for season 20. We have some veterans here in Ascendant Nomad and Lego LaFlash joining on the panel. Sarah, this is your first time. I think we're even talking.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I think we've interacted on socials like quite a few times, but other than that, like, yeah, first time interacting. It doesn't really feel like it, but yeah.
You know what? Yeah, it's that's the thing about like content creation. Everybody kind of knows everybody.
Yeah,
like just a little bit, and you like. So that's been great. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining the panel. What we're going to do first, before we get into conversation, why don't we go around and have you guys introduce yourselves and where people can find you on the internet, because some people don't make it to the end of episodes. I just know that. But Sarah, why don't we start with you?
I'm very small hat on like all socials. I'm most active on Twitter. I post occasionally on Instagram, and then I stream on Twitch full time at the moment. I have taken some breaks, but we've been full time for a few weeks again, so I'm planning on sticking with that. So yeah, just very small hat. I got lucky. Nobody else has that name, so
very lucky.
Yeah. Apparently it's unique enough.
Yeah. Looking at you, Danfinity from 2015. Anyways. Lego, what about you?
Yeah, I'm Lego LaFlash. I'm host on Destiny Massive Breakdowns and co-host at Destiny Community Podcast, but I've been growing a small YouTube channel for a little bit now. Used to be Movie of the Weeks only, and now kind of just transition into build stuff. Ascendant Nomad once asked me, do you want to be an artist or do you want to be a YouTuber? And that stuck with me for a bit now.
Perfect.
Real friends tell you the truth.
Yep.
They'll be honest with you.
Nomad,
I am.
Nomad, what about you?
I'm so sorry for inflicting starting
trauma.
This, whatever this arc is. But it's resulted in very high quality content, so am I sorry? I guess not. Hi, I'm Ascendant Nomad. I've been around on Twitter and YouTube for a little while. That's where I'm mostly at these days. Don't stream as much, just because I'm just focusing so hard on YouTube. And I make tier lists that aren't tier lists. At one point, I used to make Crucible improvement content, but then Reddit hit me over the head with a big hammer saying nobody wants to improve. So now I rank weapons for a living.
Thank you all for your service.
We all sound in pain introducing ourselves.
Yeah,
I swear.
I started out
Dude,
in the
it's a rough
minefields.
time for PvP right now. I don't know. We're all entering this like. Is this a
No,
it's
a good name for a podcast, Destiny Digest, because on one hand you're dealing with so the comings and goings of the community, but also there's a lot to digest in your guest's trauma. So it's like
we all have something.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to think about the days when I was traumatized by Destiny too. Those were the good old days. Like, I actually used to look forward to getting up in the morning. I would drink coffee and I would play PvP while I drank my coffee before work every morning. And that was like, I was not good at the game at this point. Like, this was a few years ago. And yeah, I would just get up and I would play sixes. I would drink my coffee and I would look forward to that me time every day. And it was the only time I had to play video games. And then I became content creator.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the problem. I think we all became content creators, and that's
Yeah.
when the freak flag flies, it's you're in it for so long, especially like playing Destiny. I think all of us play Destiny primarily instead of like much variety. So I can feel like that for sure. Like no doubt. So yeah, I was going to ask how have your experiences been this season? There's been a lot of changes. I know as Nomad, we talked last season about like a lot of the change. They had just implemented the competitive playlist changes, and Lego, we spoke 2 seasons ago. I want to say that was like during Season of the Plunder. And
great season. Oh, that activity. Oh, the story. Sorry. So great.
But like, so where are you guys sitting with it right now? What are the pros and cons of PvP?
Lego, go first.
All right. So I am really enjoying myself, actually. I feel like I probably don't represent maybe the mass majority of what you see on Twitter online right now, because my whole thing is about finding the joy and intricacies of weapons and stuff like that. And there have been so many new perks and weapons that come out that are so much more interesting than just kill clip and rampage. Like, they actually have intricate game loops that you have to do and play to activate them and then go on a roll and be successful with them. And then on top of that, I got Rumble back, which last time we talked, maybe we didn't even have Rumble.
We didn't have. We had none of it.
So I am like living on a high right now. Yes, I know there's a lot of stuff that I don't understand the decisions of this season in particular, but there's a lot of stuff I'm excited to that we'll get to with the exotic stuff, that some fine print stuff that they haven't really clarified, but I think will be very exciting once they do. And then on top of that, there's all these matchmaking changes. I have my gripes about the way some of them have been implemented, but overall, I'm having a lot of fun with all the options, not just Rumble, but having an actual quick play type playlist, having this guardian games thing, have interesting weapons to chase, and on top of that, be a fun, just more casual experience. For me, at least, I know I can't speak for everyone, but has been really fun doing all of those things with a new community that I've kind of been building. So yeah, I'm having a really good time right now. Definitely have like a few areas. Comp is one of those things I probably would have a lot to say about at this point, having done the solo Ascendant grind this season. But overall, having a lot of fun.
So for me, I would say I've been having more fun the last week or so than I have for the rest of the season, just because of Supremacy and, I'm going to say it, connection-based matchmaking. Because I play on one of these on the Middle East. So
yeah,
this is it's been pretty rough with skill-based matchmaking. Not because of the quality of the opposition, although through all the lag and latency issues, I don't know how good my opposition is half the time. It's just been nice being able to load into a match and, I aim my gun, I shoot my gun, I either miss or I hit somebody, and it happens immediately. It's wild. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. And I've actually, I do have reservations about Supremacy and the way it handles super regeneration through orb pickup. But on the whole, I actually really like it. I feel like it's a lot more aggressive in the way that it encourages players to push in which case you can then strategize around. Like sometimes you'll just leave an orb and let people come in, and you delete them with a fusion rifle or a hand cannon or what have you. So it's a little bit more interesting than just running around capturing zones for me, anyways. The season as a whole, I think, started pretty strong. Lightfall being a new expansion, everything. There was a lot of guns to chase. There was new activities. There was new raids and everything. And PvP was just sort of there. Iron Banner was Iron Banner. Yeah. But like, if we didn't have Supremacy at the end of the season, I honestly would have forgotten that this season existed PvP wise, because there's really not been a whole lot to celebrate or talk about aside from the comp emblem, which is sick. It's also not super difficult because I'm seeing 1.2s with it in my connection-based lobbies. So is it prestigious? That's a whole other debate. But anyways,
I'm a 1.0 and I have it.
Hey, nice. There you go. So it's a time commitment emblem. So more than anything else, and I think that rubs some people the wrong way. I personally don't give a shit. It looks cool. I'll go get it at some point. But yeah, that's my long-winded take on it.
Sarah, what about you? What have your experiences been?
I think I'm pretty much in the same boat. I fully agree with the supremacy takes. I think that having a connection-based game mode that is Clash style with an objective is really cool and awesome. And the connection-based has been very fun, even though I do represent like average gamers as a 1.0. Although I don't think my stats necessarily represent how quickly I got better at the game. I do think that I more represent the average gamer. So even that, the fact that a connection-based lobby is still feeling more fun than the skill-based lobbies says something. And then the comp emblem was basically the other highlight for me for this season, which is sad. It's not saying much that we're like so over the moon about getting our own emblem. Like, it would be so cool if they would add like some artifice armor to chase and trials, if they would give us a couple new weapons, like something else. Like, I'm kind of bummed that they're removing Rose, even though I did luckily get my 5 out of 5 last week.
Ooh.
Yeah, super exciting, but I had to grind so long for that, and I was like, I had to rush for it because it's going away. So I just feel like the loot pool in PvP could definitely use some work as well, but other than that, I play a lot of trials personally, and I'm curious to see how this weekend goes with some of the new kind of matchmaking things they've got going on, which I'm in the same boat as Lego with kind of feeling a little weird about some of those, the new matchmaking changes, although like I do like the concept of fireteam based and having a connection based playlist. Like, there are certain things, but it feels a little bit confusing. Like they're just maybe trying to do too much with it.
They left skill based on for that weekend. That's why it felt horrible. And then they came out. Like, oops, our bad.
And then this past weekend, like it wasn't a labs weekend, and then Flawless Pool was on, but it felt wonky. Like, I was matching people that like, it did still feel really, really hard, even though the player base was quite high. So I don't know. I think there's stuff going on behind the scenes that maybe we don't know about as far as the matchmaking and trials goes. So, but yeah, overall, like, I would say this season has been the most fun for me versus the last couple. But hopefully we see some more improvements outside of, the weapon balancing and exotic balancing.
Just on that trials note for a second, I do want to just say, like, just having fireteam based matchmaking this season has been a godsend. Being able to not need a team to go flawless and just going in. If you're good enough, it is, teammate lottery most of the time. Like, you don't know who you're going to get and how hard you're going to carry, but you can do it, and you don't have to be a crazy god at the game to go flawless. And just that process of getting 7 wins is very rewarding, no matter what skill level you are. So I think that's just been very, very nice. On a personal level, I'm always 9 hours or 11 hours ahead of people, so it's a bloody godsend for me. I can just go in and get my loot and get out. But yeah, that's been a really good change, I have to say. But again, like, still, it's like like Sarah said, this is like piecemeal. These are just the little things. Here's some breadcrumbs, and we're always going, please, sir, can I have some more? And we're just getting like, okay, here's yesterday's turkey, or like, here's what the mouse didn't eat.
Well, what's difficult about that is, and I'm glad Sarah said it the way she did, she said it's been confusing, and it's because the breadcrumbs that we are getting often aren't the breadcrumbs we expect or that they say that we're getting lately, at least. It's like, oh, here's this turkey sandwich and it's actually ham, because it's like, oh, we forgot to do this or that, and that has happened so frequently lately that I'm worried that it has created this sense of not just like distrust, but like you're always like, is this skill based? Is this like, you don't really know, because half the time they say it lately, this season specifically, it hasn't been correct. And I think it's because the updates have been coming so much more faster, even from a PvE side. Now the game is constantly down. Every time they do an update, there's just so much going on and so much they're pushing all the time that, you know, they did the trials labs and then it wasn't connection based, or it was, but it was heavily lobby balanced, they said in the last patch. So it's like, if you were the lowest of the low, you had no chance because you were getting matched with the single high player against an average better team. So there was just no way for, like, it was bad on the bottom end and on the top end. And then they weren't able to fix it till next season. And so it's like, while yes, they're getting some useful info from it, as a like just general player experience and connotation of like what connection based matchmaking is, everybody's like, this sucks. Like, why would I want this? And so it's made it difficult. Even when they put in connection-based matchmaking playlists for the general Crucible, that wasn't connection-based until the last patch. In the little patch updates, it was like, oh, connection-based added to these playlists. And you're like, I thought you said it was. Like, I'm so confused. So confusing is the perfect word that Sarah used there.
Yeah.
I do wonder how much...
Sorry.
No,
go ahead.
Okay.
Everybody's too polite.
Well, you have two Canadians and a Lego.
Two Canadians, somebody from the Midwest. No, I get it. I understand.
No, so I would just to add to what Lego is saying, I do wonder if there is some kind of clarity at Bungie, but then all the server issues and the technical hitches that have been just piling up aren't just like undoing a lot of this stuff. This is all speculation, but I can't imagine it's easy to create a consistent experience that isn't well documented when you're constantly putting out fires on the technical side. Like, how many times has Destiny been down this week?
Yeah. There's a disconnect between like the tech side and the dev side. Like, they're just, the dev side is producing and pushing things out, and the tech side just can't seem to keep up. So it creates that, like, those promises, and then tech side's like, we can't fulfill this right now.
Yeah, and it's like, how many times have we seen the reintroduction of bugs after a hotfix? Yeah. And how many times have things not been fixed the way they should have been fixed? And of course, we can only sit here and speculate because we're not game devs. Right. Unless one of you is working for Bungie secretly and this is a sting operation.
You caught me.
But
it's Craig. Craig and Geark. They're silent partners in all this.
Understandable.
But no, I'd like... It's pure speculation on my part, but I can't help but wonder if that's also contributing to the issues that only arise when it gets sent to players.
Yeah. I had 2 notes on some things Lego said was as far as the like kind of not fulfilling promises and us feeling like we can't really trust them. Like, we love Bungie. We love the game. We want it to succeed. But, when they did promise or say things like, we really want to see abilities be tuned down and there to be this higher percentage of weapon usage in the Crucible. And that was during a time when Crucible was amazing. Like, that was during 30th anniversary, the best Crucible's been in so long. And then to see that kind of like just continue to fall short, and feels like so many of these changes are completely counteracting that. And that's where that, like, the barriers go up, and I'm like, I don't really trust you. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough, but I'm trying to embrace it. But I'll be honest, I'm not a build crafter. Like, I am not one of those people that gets a thrill from that, and I think that's fine. I kind of kick myself for that sometimes, but then I'm like, it's just not what I enjoy in the game. Yeah. I love hand cannons. I want somebody to tell me these are a few good rolls to go for on this hand cannon, and then I'll play around with them and I'll decide which one I like the best. And that's and then I fit that into my play style. So yeah, I'm not out here trying to do any crazy build crafting, and maybe that's why I'm so anti abilities as well, but that's maybe another conversation. So well, getting down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. I've been finding myself, so my Crucible experience this season has been, I used it for Pinnacle grind earlier in the season. Nomad, we had this conversation the last time you were here. I just did Pinnacle Crucible when I could. I did a couple Iron Banners, but people were jumping off maps or quitting, like doing the whole farming thing with wins. So it didn't feel like any kind of satisfying PvP experience for me. I think the last one that we had was a little bit harder to do. or maybe the one previous. But
Iron
it
Banner.
was
SBMM.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like kind of it's kind of a letdown. That's the way that you win those games in a lot of the new modes. I have played Supremacy quite a bit, and I actually enjoyed. I played probably like 3 hours of it on Thursday on stream, and I was like, this is great, because if I'm not good at killing things, I can go and pick up the orb and just run around and grab, like, just be a little orb gremlin, picking up everything and then getting my super back. And
It also feels low stakes, which
Yes.
is just kind of, it's nice to have a low stakes playlist right now. That's just all over the place.
The only thing I don't like about it is the no mercy rule. That's
Yeah,
the
that's
only
weird.
gripe
Yes.
I have with
It's
Supremacy, is
really
that there's
strange.
no
It's not
mercy.
there.
It's weird because you're like stuck sometimes in games where your team's like at 20 and the other team is at 96, and you're like, can I please get out of this hell?
I mean, you can
Hey,
leave. Like,
there's
there's
no
no.
critical.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I hate the fact that I have to leave, right? Like, I
Yeah.
don't like leaving that type of stuff.
Mhm.
So to me, that's my biggest, like, come on, Bungie, please, why? I get it also, but I'm just like, that would have just made it like that little bit of difference. And I was
Like,
telling
yeah.
Sarah this in her stream, like, was it yesterday or the day before? The weird thing to me with Supremacy is that I have to relearn to play without lag.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
like
have
you
to relearn to
adjusted,
play
yeah.
Crucible without lag. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, what happened? I'm like, oh yeah, no, he got me. That's fine. In
can't blame the
instances in other
servers.
playlists, he would have gotten me because there would have been lag. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I have to relearn to play fully. And I'm just like, okay, this is going to take a minute. But it's a great thing. As a non-PvP player, I love it.
It's
Other than
really
no mercy.
refreshing. It's really refreshing to be able to just say, "Oh no, I screwed up there," instead of being able to blame, like the wall or the geometry or.
I was just talking about that yesterday with Sep. I was like, because obviously we've had lots to talk about with him about jumping. And I was like, genuinely, like, I do consider myself a relatively good player, but I still struggle to look up. I am not on controller. I'm just one of those people, like, I'm not good at tracking an enemy when they jump over me.
Same.
And I'm an example of a non-controller player who struggles to track somebody who's using Stompies effectively. Like, when I used to play against really good Stompies players, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm losing this game." Like, I know, but I have never once, been like, "Oh, Stompies!" Like, "Oh, I need to, like, man, these people are jumping
Right.
too high. We need to nerf their jumps." Like, I'm immediately like, "Oh, that's a skill issue."
Yeah,
That's my skill issue. I need to work on that.
We need hard numbers on the data set or just the polling that they put out or whatever the case may be, because it sounds like bullshit.
It's silly. It's goofy. It's
Like,
goofy
unless
for sure.
their sample size is Destiny Reddit, which is like filled with the biggest scrubs known
I hope not.
on the face of the planet. Like,
Yeah.
and
Or
not
Facebook.
even just
I don't know. Facebook is is a scary place.
Facebook isn't filled
that's
with real
always a
people,
scary
so they
place.
don't count.
Oh, fair enough.
No, and like what I mean by scrubs is just like people who ascribe to scrub mentality, in the sense that they blame external factors rather than internal ones quickly. And I mean, you could take it the same way as like, oh, they're scrubs, they're no good. It's more so just the, everything is everyone else's fault and not my own. Like, these people don't spend any time trying to get good. They're very, very concerned about skill-based matchmaking because they don't want to be up against players better than them. There is a viewpoint that I agree with, where skill-based matchmaking is definitely necessary to help protect lower skill players in order to get them to want to play more. Because I get it, if you play a new game for the first time, like if you play like Star Wars Battlefront 2 now, and you get dropped in the lobby, I don't know if it's skill-based or connection-based, you get dropped in there, you don't know what the hell you're doing, you're going to get wiped out by an X-Wing, or Darth Maul's going to come up behind you as you spawn in, and you're like, what the hell happened? So I get that feeling of disorientation and that sort of that intimidation factor. You want to mitigate that as much as possible to keep people playing, but not at the cost of the game stability. I don't think there's any.
Well, just
any
all
argument for
playlists.
that.
It felt silly that it just became like having an option for new players and for people who are lower skilled, for sure, 100%. But then it became where there was no option for higher skilled players. So that felt silly. It was like, Why are we trading one for the other?
Yeah, we've pulled the throttle like fully one direction and then the other way. And now we're kind of meeting in the middle when it's almost like we should have been going towards the middle the whole time, but we've been tossed around so violently from one way of playing the game to the other that it goes back to that like what is happening? Yeah, and even when they do introduce, and this is what I meant earlier by like the trust thing. It's not so much about trust. It's more like communication clearly between like patch notes and stuff, because you've got stuff like and content coming out so quickly, like with the Guardian Games playlist, how there's no mercy, you said, and there's no quitter penalty, and it doesn't fill in the matches afterwards. You can play a full game of 6 versus 1 and nothing ever changes. You're like something, and so of course everybody who doesn't understand what's going on, doesn't read the patch notes, is like, what is happening? Like, this is a terrible experience. And it would just be nice to have some more comms on that kind of stuff, or even just like let things cook a little longer sometimes.
That's my biggest gripe. Yeah, like even after you read the patch notes, you're kind of left going like, okay, but where's the control variable here? Like, how are you actually testing this when it's constantly being changed and altered, and there's really no consistency? Like with Trials Labs, which is a great example, is, you know, they're like, oh, we're testing this matchmaking again, but they don't use the same map, they don't use the same weapon, like nothing stays the same. So then you're like, oh, okay, but then the incentive to play isn't there, and like so it just like with so many of the changes, it just feels like there's not enough consistency there for them to actually get good data. And I'm speculating. Like, obviously, I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but
I am glad that they at least said in the patch notes, like the data that we got that was good from that was the in the practice pool, like that was the data they were getting to refine that algorithm to protect players from getting stomped. So when it comes around next season, it will be more refined. It's just the downside of that is that for everyone that was just playing Trials as normal, it wasn't a pleasant experience. And just the communication on all that is what I would like to see. Even though I'm having fun, I'm glad Guardian Games is here, all that stuff. That's like my biggest thing out of everything that I wrote down for this season, is that communication factor and how quickly things are coming out.
Well, also I've spoken to a couple of developers on this privately, but there's no, like, they're far too reliant on community translators to actually get people to understand what the fuck they're saying. Like the whole thing about airborne effectiveness. Does anybody really understand it still? Like truly, like I know I do, because I did the fucking research and I was going to make a video and then they changed the damn thing. So I was like, fuck this, I'm out. But like precision cones, aim scalers, you know, like we're talking super technical terms. And now, as much as I appreciate their increased communication in the patch notes on matchmaking, it's still not well understood, and it's still not terribly well explained. And then, like Lego says, you can have a bunch of people most people who don't read the patch notes. They do rely on YouTubers for their info, and some of them just don't cover them. And why would they? Because they're long and they're boring, and they're ultimately, it comes down to, okay, your game's going to feel good, or it's not. Yeah. And there's no other mechanism to gauge it. Like, we don't even have a ping counter in the game itself. Like, every modern FPS, you open up your scoreboard, you can see your latency, right? It's like 36 milliseconds, 46 milliseconds, 240 for me. But, you know, like, there's none of that. You have a little bar indicating your connection quality, and it's really hard to see. And there's no way of measuring it. There's no way of accounting for it. There's no way of controlling it. There's no information given to the player on anything to do with matchmaking in the game by Bungie. And that's where I think there's so much confusion, and there's so little of like a base understanding from the community versus the developers on how this stuff affects people.
I think the comp point system is a really good example of that as well.
Exactly.
It's been explained to me so many times, and I'm still like, why did I lose 200 points against that team who's way better than me? Like,
Just forget about it. Go again.
Sure.
Yeah, truly. Just
GG, go next.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for those to change. Like, they mentioned a bunch of changes that are coming, but they haven't said exactly when or how. And I just really would like to see that, of all things. Because that playlist, I will say, like, props to Bungie for a very fun, like balanced experience playing against other players. Like that was some of the most fun I've had in the Crucible in a long time, of just back and forth games where you could hardly even make a point, where it was just like conversations continued on Twitter from some of those games where there's like, I was playing against you and we were going back and forth and like it was awesome, you know. And so they were like great games that came out of that, but the point system, like Sarah said, is just so convoluted and discouraging to play above all else. And the fact that the only reward is ascendant, like you're not rewarding players for their climb to adept. Like, yeah, because it would be amazing to reward people for adept. Like they deserve something too. Like all players will not make it to ascendant, but they made it to adept, so reward them too. Those are things that I would really love to see. But I echo your sentiment, Sarah, on the +5 whole thing. Like, just
because there's so many games that I'm like, that was a fair loss. Like I don't hate that I lost that game, but then losing the 200 points, you're like, okay, well I don't think it was worth that. Like it just you're right.
I
like,
wouldn't speak to your manager.
Yeah, right. Like I was fine with this until I wasn't. Yeah,
but it's like 5 4s taking 20 minutes, and all you get out of it is like a +5, and you're like, oh, okay, well, fuck me, I guess.
Yeah.
And when it happens consecutively, multiple games in a row, that's when you're like, okay, I'm done. Like, I just can't keep going.
Yeah.
Message received. I'm going to go touch some sand now, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and then they say like, you know, they want this like 50% win rate, and I'm like, is that like, and in comp, the point system I've heard is that they're basically trying to keep you at a certain, where they think you are skill level wise is the rank they're trying to keep you at. And so that's apparently what the point system is based off of. And I'm like, I have a really hard time with that. Like the whole 50% win rate thing is silly in general, in my opinion. But yeah, then the comp point system kind of reflecting that felt strange.
So Sarah, you touched on something a little bit earlier about like all the changes kind of like happening all at once, or we keep getting repeated changes over and over and over again with very little, with almost like a whiplash of time between them. And I know in the coming seasons we have a lot of changes. In the coming season we have a lot of changes, especially when it comes to like trials, changing entirely different mode to Dominion. Are you guys hopeful that the changes that they're making will make for a better Crucible experience in seasons to come? Or are you worried that it'll be more of the same, even communications wise?
Lego looks like he wants to talk. Go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and just say that I feel like I'm still hopeful that the way things have, I want to say improved. I know maybe not everybody agrees with that, but the constant like updates to things that are a problem. Immortal is probably the thing that stayed around the longest, and we're like, okay, like this is going on a little long. But outside of that, everything's been addressed relatively quickly lately. And I am hopeful that that sandbox will continue to improve, especially with all the more connection-based stuff we're getting. I'm really excited to have the pure connection-based, no lobby balance experience, just random. Maybe you just might make it to the lighthouse sort of thing. I personally don't like Dominion. I really like the old school elimination playlist. I know it's getting stale. I know that it doesn't make people push anywhere, and that can cause for stale games, and they're trying to amp up via the game mode. I just like that anything can happen in elimination. You can fight anywhere in the map, and I like that randomness. But Dominion, I get that they will have more control over where the point is, where to push players, and how to make a more engaging experience. So I'm curious to see how it plays out, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it.
Okay, here's something that's going to make you a fan of it. People can hide from your fusion and elimination all round long. They can't in Dominion.
Yeah, but it's not as random. That's my whole thing. I know.
Well, exactly. You'll get more kills.
I guess more predictable.
Get more kills.
I don't care about the more kills. I just care about random, like the more variety in my experience, the better to me.
Listen, I have an agenda. No. I have an agenda here. I need more slow-mo clips of you melting people with like this fusion that nobody fucking knows about. And I just need to see that on screen. Okay. So I'm trying to sell you Dominion so you can get those clips.
We will have more of those next season.
I see. Okay. I still feel like I haven't convinced you, which is wild. Because, anyways, my take on this. See, I don't think Trials alone will save Crucible. Because we've done that song and dance since season 10, right? Remember when they came back with Season of Wordy? Oy. Anyways, don't want to rehash that. But basically, like, Trials, it's very much its own separate thing. It brings in its own population. It has an independent set of problems that don't reflect onto the rest of the Crucible. The thing that will get me hyped for Crucible is evidence that they give a shit. So things like and what makes people give a shit? What makes people care about stuff in Destiny 2?
Chasing it's guns and
chase,
armor.
Loot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Loot.
Chasing something.
And we've got an emblem and another emblem and a transmat effect. And probably the sniper to end all snipers next season. We need some more. We need more. And until we see that, and we see, I'm not going to say like better communication, but just like communication that seems to account for community sentiment amongst players whose playtime with the Crucible is higher than most, is my opinion. Because I do think everybody's voice matters, but this whole like Stompies thing is really rubbing me the wrong way. And I know that anybody who spent any little decent amount of time in Crucible will say to you, Stompies is not a problem.
It's not.
It takes adjustment. It costs an exotic slot to use. You're giving up way more broken stuff like Wormhouse Crown, Athros's Embrace, Dragon Shadow is still a thing.
And Dragon Shadow got nerfed too, but yeah.
But it's still strong. It's arguably as strong as Stompies in terms of movement when you get it right. But like if they had that conversation with if they had a real PvP summit, I don't think there would have been a single mention of Stompies. But here we are. And I feel like there's a huge disconnect between what Bungie wants from the Crucible and what the players want from Crucible. And until there's evidence to suggest that those two sides are converging, I'm just going to sit here and vibe, I guess.
Yeah. To touch on the Trials stuff, I'm looking forward to actually having the point objective because I do prefer quicker games personally.
Nice.
However, I would say that these slower games that we're seeing are probably more so due to the weapon meta shifting to more range. With sniping getting buffed again, pulses are incredibly strong, pretty much all archetypes, and we've got some really good scouts in the game. There's just bows are still really good. Like we've just got a lot of ranged weapons. So I would say that that's probably more so where that's coming from. But I also love the elimination style. So it's a bummer to see the elimination style go due to the weapon meta shifting that way and them solving it by changing the game mode.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see if it does create some quicker games. And they said that they think it will kind of increase like weapon variety, build variety. I disagree. I think that it's going to just basically, it's going to be kind of what we've seen with points so far is the bubble, Wells.
Ability.
I mean, Warlocks are going to be so good next season. So, so yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. I'm curious to see what happens. And then, yeah, I do agree with Nomad. I think the Stompy thing was kind of silly. And I would say that a lot of people just aren't using Stompies anymore because they don't know how to build into AE. And now that they're taking away the AE change, I don't know. I feel like the same amount of people are still going to be using it. And it's still going to be good. Like, Sep just said he's going to unbind his dodge. So, like, he's still going to be cracked with it, okay? Like the top players are still going to find ways to be extremely mobile and good at the game. And taking Stompies out is not going to fix that. And I think that those are the people that Bungie's trying to nerf. And it's not a big enough portion of the player population for it to be an issue, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, I just an average player putting on Stompies is not a problem. at all.
Yeah.
Like it is not. If anything, sometimes those people are nerfing themselves because they can't control the movement. Like it's not. It just doesn't feel like it should have been reworked that way. Like, but yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead with your point, and then I'll.
Maybe we'll see a little bit more variety on the hunters generally because they won't be using stompies, and we'll get to see all the lovely, lovely little ways where hunters are 10 times more worse now.
All the abilities,
yeah. Young Ahamkara Spine, Athras' Embrace, Wormhusk, Bacchus. Hello.
Yeah, Bacchus.
People sleep on that thing. That's gonna be horrible to deal with, but hey, I'm for it. Oh, it slows you, by the way, if you get close and you have an aspect. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
But it is. I do hope Bungie will see this and they'll say we made a mistake here. At the same time, though, I'm kind of glad that stompies are going to be, not necessarily an afterthought because I think people will still find ways to be useful with them. But people are going to start looking at other things more, which I'm a big fan of. I'm always a fan of variety, but I just don't agree with the reasoning for the stompy change. I think it was one of the things that made the least sense because look, if you're trying to enforce a traversal limit, if you're trying to nerf movement speed and crossing point A to point B or even just getting enhanced movement period, then why didn't Dune Marchers get a speed nerf? Why didn't Peacekeepers get a new speed nerf? Transversive steps and get a speed nerf. And hey, grapple is still there, even though that's a grenade charge and that's a different tuning circumstance and all that. But it the consistency wasn't there. The wording made it seem like it was this big oppressive thing when it probably just wasn't. It was just hard for people to just move up.
All you darn controller players really struggling. People jumping over you. Oh no.
It's also one of those changes where obviously you have your gremlins on Twitter going like, well, you're a top player, obviously it's easy for you to dude, look up. How hard is that? Like reasonable people will be able to see that and say, okay, yeah, maybe I didn't look up as much as I could have, but that's a weird reason to nerf something.
I agree, especially on a game that has so much vertical movement. Like it's a game that encourages that. Our maps are built literally for vertical movement. Like why are they suddenly like vertical movement is bad? Stop. Like
the main thing that I want to echo there is the whole like not nerfing the other movement exotics at the same time, mainly because I was just doing a quick search through the exotic list for hunters, and every single exotic that increases your movement by that 6.25% also requires something on a hunter, like Dragon Shadow, you have to dodge. Like there's just so many of those where Frosties, you have to use your ability. Yeah, and then for every other one, like Transversive Steps, or Dune Marchers, or Peacekeepers, like the Peacekeepers requires an SMG, but still there are all these free ways of movements on the other classes, and there is no free movement thing on Hunter. So I don't mind personally, like, changing the game. Like, that happens all the time. It's like going to your favorite restaurant and having them take away your favorite meal. You can get this other thing that's very similar, has the same sauce on it, but it's not the exact meal you like. That's fine. We'll adjust as a player. But to have them take away just the hunter one and not the other ones, when it's a part of the game that's really fun, is that movement stuff. And that's why everyone is so upset. That feels a little strange to not just even the playing field, especially on the movement class that everybody thinks of as the movement class hunter, whenever every other class has such strong momentum abilities like shoulder charge, even with the nerf, shoulder charge, and warlocks dodging like faster. Like everybody can get places faster except for the hunter now. I mean, you can just don't use your dodge, but it's more limited than the other classes is my point.
It's more it's a sacrifice,
So I'm looking at Trials Report right now. And so like looking at the list of the things that they are nerfing, or like the things that they are changing in the next season versus the list of like the top five are like Ophidian Aspect with 52% of usage amongst warlocks, Stompies have 29% of use amongst hunters, and Dune Marchers have 30% of use.
I'm so excited for the Affilaitions
along Titans. So, like, just looking at that list, like that's 3 of the big ones that they called out as being changed. Do you think that there's like a certain threshold that like of community use that gets hit? Like once it gets hit, they're like, oh, we really got to take a look at that.
Oh, they look at those numbers,
Yeah.
usage numbers for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Like that's literally why hunters keep getting nerfed, because they're like, why is everyone on hunter? This is so strange.
This is the only class with an actual like relatable jump mechanic.
I
That is
used all
crap.
3. I'm unbiased. Genuinely, like I play all 3 characters
Mm.
very consistently all the time in PvP and PvE. So like, yeah, I would say that I'm pretty unbiased, but I also use movement exotics on all 3. On Titan, I use Peacekeepers and Dune Marchers. On Warlock, I don't use Affinians because I think they're broken and I feel really bad rubber banding that way. And then I use Transversives. And then on Hunter, I've always been a Dragon Shadow or Stompy's gal. So yeah, like I just like the movement though. Like that's the thing. Like I said, I'm not a build crafter. I'm not somebody who's like super reliant on abilities. I like to work on my primary, and like so the movement just is the go-to for me. And I just feel like that niche, that those people that are just in this game for the movement and the weapon feel are constantly getting told, no, we want you to use these other exotics for abilities and all these other things that I'm just like not really interested in using personally. So because now I'm like, well, I'm probably still going to use Stompies or Dragon Shadow, even though they've both been nerfed. I'm still going to, use everything that I've always used on Titan. It's just going to be less strong. It's fine, but I don't know. I'm not one of those people that really wants to switch it up a ton, and that's just a personal preference. I don't care if anybody else wants to. I have nothing against any other exotics. I just prefer movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to different weapons that you're using this season, what has gotten you excited? What perks are you seeing yourself use more or seeing more of in the sandbox overall?
The head seeker buff's pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I always forget about that aim assist that comes with it. That is such a nice buff.
Yeah,
I
it's
used
kinda
the
nuts.
new pulse. Yeah, I used Autumn Wind for the first time this weekend because I actually it's not a perfect roll, but it's pretty good. It has the head seeker rangefinder on it. It was pretty
nice.
fun. It was doing really well in trials. So
Lego, what's yours? I have a feeling I know
Cascade
what it
Point.
is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, I
it
had a
so
feeling.
much. And it's so weird because it like has different scalars depending on what weapon you use it on but like the new scout rifle from Guardian Games is so disgustingly good. But it's like niche. You have 2.5 seconds when you swap to it to activate it to like use it. And that's such a short period of time, but you can hit across the map at like an immortal time to kill,
Yeah.
It's just disgusting in a fun way, in a balance, and I feel like a pretty balanced way. Like you have to get a kill. It's not just free like immortals with target lock where you just get it. Like it requires something, has a niche use. It fits into my playstyle just perfectly. There hasn't been a weapon in a long time that just fits the way that I play. So I'm very, very excited about that perk. I also really like Offhand Strike a lot, extending that hip fire distance, because if they did ADS distance, it would have been way too much, but hip fire distance and the stability, it's just a really interesting perk, and I'm glad they put it on a slug shotgun and a fusion rifle, so there are options for both, not just one or the other. It's just, I would like to see it on like a sniper rifle. I don't think that's a thing yet, but that would be kind of cool to see the hip fire reticle just shrink after you get a kill to where you can hip fire it. That would be awesome. I love
I'm a
stuff
no
like
scope
that.
gal. I love no
Exactly.
scoping. That would be super fun. Yeah, I often put a freehand grip on my Eye of Soul.
So good. I'm hunting now. I don't want to do it because I don't want to go play Gambit, but I really want the sniper rifle from there is one of those aggressive frame hard hitters, and it has harmony on it, and it can also get, I think it's air assault. So like basically my whole idea with it is or golden tricorn, either one of those will work, but basically like get a kill with your other weapon, swap to it, and like do a jump shot, body shot would one shot someone. And so I think there's like a lot of really interesting stuff there for trick shots, and just, you know, that's what makes the Crucible fun to me. That's why I'm still having fun, is all this stupid stuff that is gonna get me killed, but you know, I'm having fun. So that's what I'm loving.
That's what the control-based matchmaking's been great for, though.
Yes,
like I've been playing around with so many weapons this week again, which has been so fun. I pulled out like a bunch of stuff that I was like, I haven't been able to use this in so long because I've been sweating my dick off over here in every game.
I've been very happy that that's been around, because I get to test out, like, because I'm doing a hand cannon tier list, because apparently I like doing big projects that cause me a lot of pain. Because I read internet comments and they tell me I'm a shill.
What's
okay. So I was using, what was I using? I was using Loud Lullaby.
Oh my gosh. Terrible.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I understand and respect Cammy Cakes' opinion. However, the man is a demigod. What he finds good is not necessarily good for the vast majority of people. So I didn't have a good time with that gun, but I did use it a lot, and it was doing the work against people who were looking the other way, which was fantastic. But in terms of perks, I want to give it to Offhand Strike, because that has been a really good revelation. But you know what's been my new kink? Finding primaries with shot swap on it.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Because especially on Philotactic Spiral, because it's a 340 pulse, it's craftable, has shot swap. You build up those stacks, right? You get 2 on a kill. And what happens is, every time you have anytime you have a stack of shot swap, you get max handling, which means you can swap weapons really, really quickly. So if you want to play as a hybrid aggressive player, or if you just want to play aggressive, you can load up a shotgun, like Conditioned Finality or Duality or whatever you have, or any other. You get the point. You have a shotgun, you have a primary, you use the primary to get your first 2 or 3 kills. Then you can run in and be a maniac with a shotgun or a sidearm or whatever it is, and just continue the slaying. It gives you that versatility, and it's so nice, especially on low handling weapons. When Rangefinder gets nerfed, whenever that happens, and we don't know how they're going to do it, but we know it's coming. One perk that's going to go straight to the top for Exalted Truth is Shot Swap, because it will allow for those shotgun maniacs to swap aggressively. So I've been just trying to seek out as many weapons as I can with Shot Swap, and just getting used to the versatility that it provides. It's really, really nice.
I have a question about Shot Swap, because I wanted Shot Swap on my Fusion because I wanted to do a backup plan, like whip it out, get the kill, and then Shot Swap off to my other weapon, because the 100 handling doesn't apply afterwards. But I got Steady Hands instead, and I'm really digging Steady Hands because it applies to both your weapons. So you swap to your slow firing weapon. You got 100 handling on it, and I've been pairing that with Cascade Point too. So you swap to an 1,000 RPM auto rifle with 100 handling. It's like, what is happening? But does Shot Swap apply to both weapons, or is it just the one?
No, it's just the one weapon. So Steady Hands is the better perk in that respect. But I haven't seen any weapon with Steady Hands. Yeah, you store it. But I haven't seen because Steady Hands is on a timer, and Shot Swap can be, you have up to 8 stacks, and you can just great. Up, down. And you're constantly charging it, right? So as long as you stay alive, you keep getting kills, you'll store those charges. So suppose it's more of a dependable perk, because you can swap back and forth pretty rapidly as long as you have the charges. So if you want to be a maniac and 1v6 the entire team, you can with 8 stacks of Shot Swap. Whereas with Steady Hands, I'm not sure if that refreshes on a kill. I imagine it does. But in any case, you only have a limited window to make that happen.
Yeah, it's a cool perk regardless. I really like both of them, and I feel like I had been sleeping on them, so I'm glad you brought it up because it's very, very cool.
Yeah. Sarah, what about you? I know you said you're not that much of a build crafter, but what are you finding that you enjoy using this season versus other people?
I'm loving Rose. I was always a big Rose fan, so that coming back into the game is really fun. So I love Rose. I did get my explosive payload slide shot roll, and I really, really love it. The handling on it, it's got a huge hitbox. it feels really good. I like the sound of it. And explosive is really the only perk on hand cannons that makes it feel like it actually competes, which is unfortunate. It feels like that I'm kind of being forced to use like one type of hand cannon. Like I feel like I have so many good hand cannons that I love, but that's really the only one that I feel like I can use in any competitive scenarios. But I like explosive. It's fun. It flinches. It's great against some of those more aggressive ranged weapons if I can get close enough. So, but I've been trying to farm for a round robin because I really, really, really want one of those.
Very good.
You do. You want one.
Yeah. I want it for trials next weekend, and then. Yeah, I'm still trying to get a better roll on the Autumn Wind. I think I'm going to stick with the explosive roll on that as well. I think you just can't go wrong with the flinch. I mean, I have been playing around with the new Guardian Game Scout a little bit. I have so many in my vault that I've been trying to figure out kind of what I'm enjoying. So I've been playing around a little bit with like, there's the Zen Moment, is it Zen Moment Explosive, I believe, was like, that's like the role they give you. So I played around with that. It was fine. But then I also played around with the Gut Shot Explosive. And that was interesting. Anyways, I have a few rolls of that I've kind of been trying to figure out which barrels and trying to decide whether I want range or stability on it. So I just don't think I'm fully getting used to like the recoil pattern, or I don't know. I don't love how it feels. I'm not a huge scout person. Like I don't remember the last time I used a scout really.
Not even during the DMT meta?
No, I never touched it. I don't even have the catalyst.
Really?
I don't think I do either.
I resisted.
I don't mess with it.
Yeah, there's just certain weapons that I'm just kind of like not interested in. It's not really that like I can't blame people for using what's meta. Like it's meta. You're trying to win. We're all trying to win here. Yeah. But it's just kind of, it makes the game boring for me. Like even this past weekend, like the only reason I actually put the Autumn Wind on was because I put on the No Time and I was like, I am bored out of my mind. Like I am so tired of the No Time.
It's the same
meta.
Experience. It's the same experience no matter what you do.
Yeah. So I literally went digging in my vault to see what else I had that could compete in this weekend's meta, which was obviously a lot of range. A lot of pulses, a lot of surprisingly actually a lot of auto rifles. Like there was quite variety, but it was that like range meta. So I was like, what have I got? So anyways, that's why I tried.
Can I give you a recommendation?
It was actually quite fun. It was quite fun. So what's that?
Yeah,
can I give you a recommendation?
Yeah,
Polaris Lance.
Oh, I haven't used that in so long.
No, you're gonna want to, especially now that Zen Moment's been buffed. It's very it's
I love explosions. I love arson.
Yes.
In game.
Yes.
Sunshot. Oh, love Sunshot.
I love
Polaris Lance is like
I love arson. In game. Little parentheses.
I'm just gonna say that we're dealing with a West Coast Canadian here. And there's a lot of fires in the West Coast of Canada right now.
I'll call her out like that.
Are you sure?
This is I get all my satisfaction in game. I promise. I found a clip. I was going through clips the other day, and I found a clip of me getting a Reaper and Iron Banner with. Do you guys remember when hammers and Dune Marchers would proc together, and you would melee, and it would chain your sunspots?
So fucking cursed. It was so fucking cursed.
I didn't know that. That's
wild.
amazing.
That is so cursed. I hated that period of time.
They would. I loved. The arson I could commit in game was insane. I would just wipe the entire team. It was so great in trials too. I would just run in there and be like, just let me get a melee. Just let me get a melee. And it would triple chain too, because dunes were really cracked at the time. So it would like do a quick triple chain, spread the sunspots.
The eyes are reveling in the memories of destruction. And this is some Saul Goodman level of evasion right here, saying, I love committing arson. In game.
I'm just making sure, don't want to be, saying anything illegal online.
No, of course not.
You mentioned Rose at the beginning. I want to give it up to Bungie for introducing all these lightweight weapons. We talked about movement and how big of a thing that is. Like the same boost you get from Stompies, you get from these lightweight weapons, and it stacks on top of those exotics. It's the only thing in the game that just gives you movement for free, or these lightweight weapons. And we got Rose. We got the new, what was it? I was just talking about something else that was a lightweight. But we got like all these new lightweight things, and I'm just it's the Scout. The Scout's a lightweight. So being able to move faster, that's one of the things I love about it. Even if I'm not maining it, I can have that weapon out, move faster no matter if I have an exotic or not, and then swap to another deadly weapon, fusion rifle, to destroy people. So yeah, it's great. I love having these lightweight options. I love that they brought back a hand cannon that was lightweight. I'm really curious to see what they do with the sniper rifle in comp next season.
I hope it's good.
We need to have a speed slider or something on our build screen where it shows us how fast is our maximum speed compared to normal. So you have your Dragon Shadow or your Dunes
instead of
or
AE.
your Transverse. Instead of AE, yeah, right? Like who gives a shit at this point? Like you have your lightweight weapons, you have
nobody gave a shit ever.
Yeah.
Oh, you've freaking amplified for Arc.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing as well. So it's like
when they're fixing that for Hunter too, which is going to be so great. They're actually making it so you don't just like it doesn't ruin your jump, which is going to be really nice. I'm excited for that change. I really hope that Arc Strider's good again because I love Arc Strider.
Yeah,
super fun, and it just hasn't been good for so long.
We need underneath the mini map on the top left. We just need like a speedometer.
I love this idea, honestly.
I mean, Bungie prides himself on movement. So
let's lean into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bungie prides itself on movement, unless you're a Stompy main.
Yeah.
I'm picturing it less of like a meter underneath, but it goes around your
I see. Yeah.
Oh, around the map.
Just UI wise, it just goes around your little scanner there, and at the bottom it has your speed. That way, it doesn't take up too much extra
I like it.
space on your
that's smart.
Yeah.
Everybody stares at their radar anyway. It works great.
Yeah, exactly. It's like guys, I'm going real fast. I'm going real fast. I'm Ricky Bobby. I can see that.
It would be, or even just like on the XP bar underneath, like because nobody uses that area. Just put that there.
Yeah.
Look at us fixing PvP.
Look at us.
We got this.
Yeah,
we got this.
Anybody have anything to add before we get into questions?
Just thank goodness for the Arc Strider change. Speaking of Arc Strider, to the super that can destroy wells and bubbles.
Yes.
Because with Dominion
really
coming,
cool.
we needed some counters, and Arc Strider could be really fun with that.
I honestly have been feeling I've been playing more on my other two characters because Hunters have just been feeling pretty lackluster. And so then with some of these nerfs, I was like, really? Like, I'm just not going to play Hunter at all anymore. But with these Arc Strider changes, I probably still will because I've always really enjoyed that class. It's very fun.
Yeah.
Also, I'm grateful for the Trace Rifle buff. I think it was 4% or something like that, something small.
Yeah, we got getting beamed.
What that did was it turned Divinity from the best gun in PvP to the even more besterest gun in PvP.
I forgot you're a Divinity pro. Yes.
Like, don't knock it till you try it, and when you try it, you're like, oh,
it's hilarious.
Nomad, I have to raid to get it though, so I don't even
come
have
on by.
it.
Come on through.
We can help.
I'll hook you up on Thursday.
Okay.
You have to raid to get it.
Seeing your friend, I just like love coming around the corner and your friends just like got a massive crit bubble on them.
It is awesome.
It's so amusing. Like I'm like, oh, you died to Divinity. Like it just feels so bad. Like
it was a great counter to Glaives when they were strong too. Whenever Glaives are like really annoying, someone Divinities them and it just deletes them. What?
Divinity meta is undefeated, man, and it's just just like. It's also fun if you ever had a friend who survived a Divinity encounter. They just come around the corner with a bubble on them. It's like, you good? It's like, yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, I made it. Yeah.
I made it.
All right.
I
have a question. I interviewed Salta Greppo last year, And
How
one of the
dare you?
I know. I was called a bad person by you, Asin.
Oh, I did
but
do that, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You called me a bad person.
Oh, excellent. You're a bad person. Again, just keeping it going.
Just got it. You
Love
just got to
that.
re-up every once in a while.
Consistency.
Elitist.
But so we had Salt on, and we talked about well in PvE. He, I think it's fairly well known, like his opinion on like well needing a nerf. Do you guys think that would like? Do you feel that is a change that is viable or needed in PvP?
I mean, Well's exposed. That's the one thing about it is you can. I mean, you can snipe people out of it. You can certainly thunder crash them out of it. You can pop a bubble on it. You can also use Squall on it. So the Revenant Hunter Super. And you can also golden gun people out of it. And once you have a couple of guns going, you can take down the sword as well pretty quickly. I don't think it's as big of a problem in PvP as a bubble is.
Yes.
You can even just wait it out most of the time, like other than when it's on point. But even then, if you've got a couple people shooting it down, like I've never really had huge gripes about it. When you get multiple on a team, that can get kind of tough, but that's like anything.
Yeah.
So
just something to surmount rather than a nuisance.
And most people aren't building their exotic into well in PvP either. So that's the other big thing, right? Because like in PvE, it's a lot of the exotics tied with the super make it super OP. But in PvP, it's just like most people aren't, fully building into their super because it's just not. Yeah,
intellect isn't really a stat people concern themselves with in PvP anymore. It's really just a case of I'll get it. I'm sure there are some tryhards out there who do 100 intellect bubble titans, but
it's more so like if it's an S tier super, you're good to go in trials, for example. Like as long as you get one, you're fine. Like
Yeah. And I feel like in PvP, which I don't think they'll do like the longer cooldown because they like where it is in PvE, but like they come pretty fast, and depending on how fast the games go with the new like Dominion Trials playlist, like maybe they could I don't know if they could ever separate how long it takes to get them in PvE versus PvP, but that would be the one thing that I would kind of like, if they're getting those supers too fast in a 4v4 and it comes down to just that bubble and nobody else has their supers up because they're just in a tier that's faster, that would kind of suck, if it's a class that their neutral game is strong too. Like I feel like that would need to be looked at, but we're gonna kind of have to look and see how it plays out with all the super changes together, the exotic changes, the playlist changes.
Yeah,
there's just a lot changing.
The defensive supers, like you're pretty much stuck with like on Hunter, you've got Golden Gun, and that's about it as far as getting your super. And then I think after that it's Revenant. I'm pretty sure. And then
Golden Gun's tier 3, I think, and then Revenant is tier 4. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's probably Void. It's probably I think it's
Tether. Yeah.
Tether,
I would love to see Tether take down a bubble, or like as well it can like kind of do something, but it's like you have to get in the bubble and it takes so long for the animation to go off. There's usually a lot of latency in the tethers connecting, and like how many times have you tethered somebody and then they still killed you out of the super anyway? It's just a really
and then they just slowly walk around.
Yeah, because Revenant's great against bubble. I love using Revenant against bubble. You do still have to get into the bubble, but I find I can usually pop it off pretty quickly, and then they're stuck in there and they die. So if it could kind of even come up to that, I think it's fine if you have to get into the bubble to use it, but just because it is still a bit more of a defensive super rather than an offensive super. But I don't know. Yeah. I agree with some of those. I think that the defensive supers you all get them way too fast, and I think in the Dominion play, it might be a bit of an.
But then again, like the rounds are pretty short, and they should. Yeah. The flow of the game should be pretty conducive to fast rounds. Yeah.
But that can like go back and forth because it's shorter. Then by the end, by the 4-4, the only people who have their supers are the fast ones.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Nobody else. So,
which is what we've seen. Yeah, which is what we've seen with.
At the same time, 4-4 implies a lot of kills, so there'll be multiple supers probably up at that point. Yeah.
True, very true.
The irony of the hunters like gathering storm javelin, popping a bubble, just like a little pin, is kind of fun.
I didn't even fucking that.
I didn't think of that either.
It's gonna be great. I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm gonna do something real.
Sorry
quick
to burst your bubble.
No.
That it needs to be said every time by every single person. In
will.
Well,
PvP
Matt, are you
now.
a dad yet? Because like
No, but my
you
wife
act
is
like one.
pressuring me to have a baby, so maybe. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna-
you're practicing. Oh,
It's
good.
coming.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
practicing.
Getting into community questions. We have a few here. I think we touched on a lot of these already, so I'm just gonna skip to the ones that I feel are pertinent or different for the conversation. So from Hobo Scruff, is there anything you'd do to make 180 hand cannons better, or are they in such a good place right now that they just need time in the sun?
Ooh. See, this is one of those archetypes that you can do a lot with to boost it or take it down. But if you boost it, it becomes oppressive. If you take it down, well, then people are going to not care about it at all. I think they're in a pretty good spot in PvE. I think handcannons generally don't have a role in PvE, but they could be. I'm sure there's something they could do there, maybe boost their damage. In PvP, it's just like there are some archetypes that just don't get play.
They just
390
feel like
puzzles.
clunky sidearms.
Mm.
Like I
Yeah,
personally
yeah.
do not like how they feel, and I don't think that they can improve it just because of the type of weapon it is. Like that's just
Yeah.
why I just don't like them. There's not a single 180 that I've ever picked up and been like, yeah, this feels good.
I think something interesting that they could try and do is lean into the fact that they're sort of like more pistols and just give them like max handling. Like give them all max handling, and then
That's cool.
the trade-off is the low TTK, and then also make them lightweight, and also make them proc steady hands, and also give them off shot swap, and also give them no, but like since 120s at the distance, 140s in the mid, make these the close range option, and give them max handling so you can pair them with more aggressive builds and playstyles. That would be my suggestion.
I feel like, and I don't know if this is dangerous talk here with damage, but what sucks to me about them, because I'm kind of like the damage stacker guy most of the time, and with Radiant even, like while you're Radiant, it still can't 3-tap a 10 Resil Guardian. That feels wrong to me. Like, and I feel like it would be cool if you could stack it to where there's all these new 6% buffs that are coming with exotics where you do a certain thing and then you get a 6% buff that acts like the surge buff. And it would be cool if like either a surge ×3 Radiant or like one of these exotic buffs would get you to that 3-tap at any Resil. That might be too much damage, but I feel like it's getting a kill and then getting 3-taps with it feels like too much. And getting a 3-tap, because you still have to get all headshots with these things. So
Counterpoint. Unless you're a Titan, building into 10 Resil is a conscious choice, and there should be some payoff for that. And I think having that payoff be I can survive another bullet from a gun in PvP is worthy. Most people don't run 10, so I think incentivizing 10 as that like threshold.
Yeah, I only run
is a
10
good,
on my Titan.
Yeah, so it's hard to run. I mean, technically, you should either run 2 or 8 right now, given current meta analysis. But yeah, I feel like if you put in the time to invest into 10 resilience, you deserve that extra survivability.
But
because for most people, you are going to 3-tap them.
But I'm talking about with Radiant. Like, do you know how many? Like, I mean, I don't have to ask you. I know you know. Like, how many other things in the game break just by putting Radiant on it, and you can't even 3-tap
That's
with
fair.
a hand? Like, I just
you're
feel
making
like it's
a
so
sacrifice.
Actually,
yeah, you're
Okay.
building into it specifically. Yeah.
So I'm not talking about it base making them so much stronger to be able to do that, but just whenever you start stacking stuff, it should be a little easier to make them even effective at a decent. Because let's see, 3-tap from one of those hand cannons. What is the time to kill of that? That's like that would be 0.67 seconds. So that is really fast. But I just feel like right now it's so hard to build into it. So maybe that's fair though. Maybe 0.67 seconds is too fast. But I feel like with their distance and fighting SMGs and all the flinch they get, and you have to get headshots, that's so much stacked against it.
The short range meta is like the TTK gets really, really tight. Like you're talking 0.5 to about 0.67 anyways. Or 0.73, sorry, with certain SMGs, precision SMGs. So I think that could work. Making sure all 180s have a damage perk on them so they can 3-tap.
I think they should be like the SMGs of the hand cannons, like at
like
a
a peak SMG.
shorter range. Yeah, so you're sacrificing your range, but then having nice handling. Because I think that you're right. They would just get flinched off SMGs. Like, you're not
Yeah.
going to be able to compete.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe give them less stability, but more handling. There's your trade-off. We fixed it!
Yay!
We
I wish
did
I
a
had
thing.
confetti that came down. Maybe next time.
Watch people in
Just on
like,
screen.
people are going to quote this out of context. Say, look at these guys.
They want Luna Hal not forgotten back. Look at these guys. Look at this group.
Yo, but honestly, like anytime we talk about time to kill and like power creep, I'm just like sat here. It's just like Luna's Hal, not forgotten. They would be fine in this meta. Absolutely,
they would
fine.
be. That's crazy. That's crazy.
As 180s as well, not even as 140s, as 180s, like they were like God intended.
Yeah.
That was before my time.
It was a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Native Raider asks, with all these newly added weapons, with all the newly added weapons this season, which one has surprised you the most?
I know Lego's answer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I am really torn between the Wise and Rebuke and the Trax Scout. I think both of them have very much.
It's not iterative loop.
No, iterative loop is okay. I'm just gonna say this here, so I don't have to say it anywhere else. I think rapids are way overblown. The damage buff has been way overblown. Like, yes, I made a statement that was like, hey, this is unneeded. Like, we don't need this. They're already strong. But I don't think the iterative loop is the highlight here. It's Cartesian coordinate, which no one can get anymore. So this select few that have this 60 Amos's God roll on a rapid fire are just able to do things that no other fusion can do now. And yes, iterative loop is crazy, but it's not iterative loop that is the crazy thing. It's Antaeus wards is the crazy thing, if we're real. So that's how I feel. I'm like, iterative loop is a great fusion, but it's not Cartesian coordinate, and that's the scary thing. So yeah, Wizen with hitting a 24 meter one burst is insane, and then the Scout just going 333 RPM with a Scout rifle like an SMG is really, really fun. So definitely my two highlights.
There is nothing like a good fusion player to make me alt F4. Straight up.
Exactly why I said we didn't need it.
Throw those Antaeus wards on and I am out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's any weapons that I'm overly blown away by, but I feel like I am such a stickler for like my go-tos. So yeah.
So
I want to throw one last one in the mix real quick, Nomad. And nobody, I haven't seen like anybody use this, but there's a new mod system that lets you, there's a glaive mod that lets you get glaive energy back faster when you get a shot. It's on your chest. If you, this is so dumb, but if you stack two of those together, you get max shield energy on a glaive, which means on the exotic glaives would just, or sorry, not 2 shots, 3 shots, which normally it would take 4. So just, 3 shots. And you've got, you don't have to get a kill, just 3 shots. And then you can use the exotic ability of the exotic glaives, which on the Hunter exotic glaive is a 1-shot wave that can go through multiple people. And it's hilarious. And I just want to add that to the list.
I don't have any of those.
Well,
you can get them now, I think.
Sorry. Did you just advocate for using the class-specific glaives on a PvP podcast? Did you?
I'm so sorry. I have dissed on them so hard, but this in particular one, because it's so also with the Hunter glaive, it's a faster fire rate than any of the other glaives, so you can use it like a shotgun fusion rifle. It's like a 0.7 second time to kill or something like that. Don't quote me, but it's very fast if you just get the 2 shots off. Get a 3rd shot, and then you activate the exotic part. You're good to go. It's a pretty fun gun. It's not competitive. Glaive shots are very hard to connect nowadays, but it's still
I was thinking,
fun.
yeah, I feel like glaives pretty much disappeared after the nerf, so they fixed a lot of like the connection issues.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Nomad went dark.
Uh-oh.
It hit his
Nomad,
bedtime.
still with us?
He was out just like that. He said it's bedtime.
By the way, Sarah, you can grab the glaives from, if you have one of them, you can grab the rust on the investigation board at the enclave.
Actually I do have. I have the Titan one. I just haven't.
Nice.
Okay, so you can just go grab the other
Yeah.
two at the investigation board and not have to worry about doing Wellspring anymore, which is a fantastic change.
That's
Thank you,
wonderful.
Bungie.
That's good to know. Good to know. Not that I'll
Way too
probably
long
ever
for them
use
to
them,
fix
but
it.
Yeah, they're not great.
no, I did just get Winter Bite last night.
Ooh, I still don't have it.
Ooh.
It looks so much fun.
I haven't tried it. I had to go to bed, but I just got it last night when it was actually while I was farming for my round robins. Which I'm only 3 out of 5. If I did have a weapon to talk about, it would probably end up being that one because I do love 120s, but I will report back.
Round Robin is strong. Like I would go on record saying it's the most powerful hand cannon in Destiny 2. It's the only hand cannon in the game that can. I haven't seen anybody do this in a live game yet, but I did it in a private match. Can one shot with a hand cannon at any result. Using the intrinsic projectile rocket thing that it shoots out. You have to time literally so many things. It's like stacking 4 different things on it at once, but it can one shot, which is unheard of for a primary. So very crazy. We had Nomad back for a second, and we lost him.
And then we lost him again, and now he's completely out of the call now. So
he heard me talking about one shots, and he was like, "I'm out.
I'm out.
That's
None of that.
No.
Good luck, everybody. Let's see. The next question I have is from. We'll keep going, and as we get Nomad back, oh, there he is. There you are. Hi.
Hello. Can you hear me?
You've returned.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, is the video back up?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Let me try and reload it. Or I might just have to create a new one.
Yeah, that's fine. Perfectly fine.
Copy.
Yeah, the round robin farm is brutal.
It's
brutal. Not a fan. I've been doing it on stream to try and just get multiple instances going because but man, that one was kind of tough. Hours and hours.
Okay. Sorry about the thing. Lego, that was the most ballsiest pitch I've ever heard for the Hunter Glaive. Dude, you could sell water to a drowning man.
I promise it's actually fun.
He just gets so excited. It's adorable. Yeah.
That's me with everything, though. I'm just wait, did you know there's this one little intricate thing on this random weapon?
It works this one time.
Yeah.
But when it comes off.
Sarah Dan, you got to agree with me on this. This is big golden retriever energy.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, I have a golden retriever.
You know what?
100%. Yeah.
You know what? I'm here for it. That's the kind of fun that I like. Is the memery that what he said took 4 or 5 different conditions to even get to. First of all, you have to have that Hunter exotic glaive.
Yeah, and I'm I don't have that. I can't.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
We're
have to really work for that kill.
Yeah, we're complete opposites. I'm over here with my set weapons that I like to use, occasionally maybe using something new, depending on the current meta. I like movement exotics. Don't really go outside of that. And you're oh, here's this really cool new obscure perk that nobody pays attention to because they all think it's garbage.
I will say that's awesome. A testament to Dan and his ability to grab all these different people, the perfect mix of people for a podcast. And I just want to say, Dan, for anybody listening too, you have been just killing it in the podcast world. It's one of the podcasts that I frequently go to listen to because I know you're going to be on topic and talking about everything in a very balanced way. And so just bravo, man. You are absolutely killing it out here.
Heck yeah.
Well, thank you.
Takes
That's
one to know one too,
out.
huh?
No. I'm going to see it online, then. You can't stop me.
All right, so we have a question from Luke Pebbler. This one's specifically for Nomad. I'd love to hear Nomad's thoughts on Rev Zero several months on. Still using it? Still loving it?
It is probably in the conversation for best primary in the game.
Wow.
See, I forgot it existed.
Yeah. So the 20% pulse buff did wonders for it in endgame, and then they gave it another buff on top of that, so it actually goes 75% buff.
Wow.
And the thing shreds. I was I was just doing Glassway yesterday, and I was just because Dim was down and I only had revision 0. I didn't even have my PvE revision 0. I was using the one with frickin' Outlaw and Eye of the Storm, and that thing was doing just fine against a red bar, and like the sniper shots hit really, really hard as well. Intrinsic anti-barrier, really, really good in PvE with the 4 burst mode. Not so good in the 2 burst mode, but that's what it's there for PvP. And you know, in the Age of Immortal, it's actually a very good antidote because you stay back, you keep your distance, and like it's like PvP, it's fairly unchanged, but it's where PvE the differences come, and it shines so brightly now. Just I can't praise it enough, and I really want to do a DPS test with the sniper shots because it was pretty high before, but I'm wondering now, is it greater than Arbalest? And I think it might just be, especially given that linears were nerfed pretty hard. So if it's in or around that commitment, obviously Arbalest is going to do more damage per bullet, but which is doing more damage per second? That's what I want to know. And if there's any sort of comparison there, like I know it can hit as hard, but does it take longer bullets? Does it require more shots? Do you have to be more perfect with it? Is it more usable? Is it less usable? But like the fact is, I'm comparing it to a special weapon in PvE, and like that's how much I rate this thing. So yeah, it's probably worth a video. And I do want to make that video once people are actually playing Destiny again, which is not now. Perhaps when the new season hits and we all get surprised by the new stuff that's coming there. But yeah, it's really, 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 really good now. It was good before, but only in PvP. But now it's just it's if you could only have 5 weapons, right? At all for any slot, 5 weapons. Revision 0 would be one of them.
God,
I
I think you sold me to try it out. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I've been I also, one thing we didn't talk about that I would like to say also is like, I feel like using double primary feels better again.
Yeah,
it does.
Super exciting. Like having an SMG and a pulse, it's really fun. I do it in trials quite often, so I just wanted to
The
make note of that.
knowers,
So
the knowers have been knowing about Revision 0 and an aggressive sidearm. The knowers.
Big sidearm gal. I don't know.
The knowers.
Sidearms,
Double dad.
sidearms are good.
They're so good. I just like, I don't know if it's just, I just don't have a ton of fun with them. I don't like how they feel. Maybe it's just like a little too close, like that I have to get to the opposing team and I feel like I'm just getting shredded by an SMG or a shotgun. Like I just, like I have to close the gap too much. I'm not sure.
So there's a great way to learn how to use sidearms properly. Watch True Vanguard and then watch his whiskey channel and just absorb that daddy energy, you know? And then you will be a sidearm god.
I do feel like sidearms are quite different on controller as well, though.
Yeah.
Like, I would say there's definitely more reticle friction. Like there's just like it's definitely
nothing stopping you from plugging in controller, Sarah. Come on.
I have never played Destiny on controller.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Only because I didn't start playing D2 until Season of the Drifter, so I never played D1. It was my first FPS game ever. So
reticle friction is such a dream.
Yeah.
It's actual cheat code. Like once you feel it for the first time, you're like, what the
I shouldn't lie. I shouldn't say that. I have played on controller like once for a charity incentive, and I was terrible. And I was like, I'm turning so slowly. Like it was awful.
Get me out of this hell.
Yeah. Like, give me my M&K back, please.
Sarah, have you tried lightweight sidearms at all?
I believe so.
My favorite thing in the game. It's so good.
What's a good example of a lightweight one?
I mean, Redback is one. I don't love Redback, but the Farewell from Season of the Splicer is
not kidding.
One of my favorite sidearms in the entire. I'm convinced Ill Physics to try it. Zur has been selling it a lot lately, and the Gunsmith. So if you see a roll with Rangefinder or even multi-kill clip, both are really great. But the great thing about it is you don't have to damage tag anything. Like it's just a good, I can hit some body shots, I can hit some headshots, and still have a very forgiving time to kill value and move across the map faster because it's a lightweight. It's really fun.
I mean, double sidearm looks fun too with Forerunner, and then building into it on Hunter with the exotic. So yeah, that feels like might be an opportunity next season.
Lego, have you noticed that when you explain things and you get excited, you go into full YouTuber mode?
I do, don't I? Oh no, I just see, but that's just a testament to my YouTube is very authentic. You know,
Yeah,
it's
so
just who I am.
authentic. Yeah.
It's an extension of his being. On the sidearm kick, I've been using Michael's Reverence from the raid. It's a rapid fire frame, and I've been loving when I was playing Supremacy last week. That was what I was using in my kinetic slot, and it was a lot of fun. What
did you pair it with?
So I would use that, and then I had, what was the other? I was messing around a little bit. Okay, just like a little bit, and I was using Null Composer.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say it's a fusion rifle.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good go-to like pairing. I think with the sidearm.
Mm-hmm.
The all mid range is a good.
Exactly.
A good combo. I love all mid range. I get a lot of comments like, "How do you do it?"
Mid range.
Fusion's when Lego uses it. Fusion's when Lego uses it.
Yeah. Well, what can I say?
I think this will be the final question for the day. So Fluffy Fingers MD asks, what is a subclass? Do you want? Well, he asks 2 questions.
No, do that for everyone. Do that one.
Do that one. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. All right. So,
sorry, Fluffy.
what is a subclass that you feel has high skill ceiling and is currently strong, but the learning curve takes some time to perfect? An example that comes to mind for them is Shadebinder.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, because a bad player on Shadebinder is very easy to counter. A good player on Shadebinder is so oppressive. That's a good example. But I would also say Strand Hunter.
Strand Hunter's one.
Because the super is trash. Super sucks, but watching Sep play Strand Hunter, like, I could never. I could never. But he is amazing on it. And, like, he's a good example of a mobility player, high skill. But a lower tier player like myself, I'm not going to be doing anything useful on that subclass.
Spectral Blades Hunter.
Yeah.
Super good super if you can get it to go. Because it has one of the longest cooldowns. Not that much damage resistance, and an aware player will be able to take care of it pretty quickly. But the invisibility and radar manipulation potential of Void 3.0 on Hunter is still something that isn't used a lot to this day. But I'm also going to put my hand in the ring for Behemoth Titan.
100%.
Stasis Titan.
Yeah.
Horrible super, but oh my god, the utility.
Yeah. The super is really awful. It's actually why I stopped using it, but such a fun subclass. I used it a ton. It was after the first nerf, because I think I got 2 nerfs. I'm fairly certain. Yeah, so I used it. I used it mostly after the second or the first nerf, and then after the second one, I just felt like it wasn't really useful. But the passive play, like the neutral game play, is so fun and so good.
It has some of the best exotics for it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, and that getting buffed soon is going to be so interesting, like not having the weights on you when you use Shiver Strike and all that. Like, I'm really curious because you can already make plays on it, and I think it's going to be a little bit easier, and you're going to be able to do some faster, more extreme, like that. The amount of times I've seen one of my Trials teammates dodge and bait a super with Shiver Strike, like jump out, supers cast, and then Shiver Strike the other direction. That's going to be so much more effective with the buff.
Yeah.
So cool stuff for sure. And I want to double down on what you said, Nomad, for the Void Hunter. No, everybody's dive bombing still with your smoke bombs. Don't dive bomb. Throw the smoke bomb on the ground and use the radar manipulation. That is the way to play the class. It's so good. And then also what Sarah said with Hunter, Strand Hunter in particular, I think with the new decoy thing that you're going to be able to send out, Bungie, please let it show up on radar. If it shows up on radar, it's going to be so the ceiling is going to be so high for how good you can get with that. I would love it. And I would move from Night Stalker to that probably.
The amount of moments you're going to have, like, oh fuck, I fell for this, and then you get domed.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I mean, the amount that I fall for smokes, like, I will definitely be that person. So
I do. What makes me think it's going to be radar is that they said pretty specifically the decoy itself is going to look like Strand. So I don't think that's going to fool people as much. But
Unless you're colorblind.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, and if it shows up on radar though, that's going to be a huge tool to use. So I really hope so.
What if it's this? What if they manage to make it like sort of this optical illusion where from distance it looks like a Guardian, but when you get up close, it's like more of a Strand thing?
That'd be interesting.
And if there is something, I hope it has, especially for sort of short range plays, like you want to put a decoy behind cover. Obviously, that's going to be massively useful for radar manipulation, but the other team needs to know, needs to have an idea that it's a decoy. So give it an audio cue, like some sort of like that tangled, that woven mail squidgy sound.
Oh yeah, the signature noise.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped right now because you got me thinking, what if it has aim assist on it? And what if you can send it out in front of you as you peek a sniper lane and like bait a Monarch?
Oh, that's going to be so dirty.
That's going to be so cool. I want it now. Bungie, please.
if it can pull reticle, that's crazy. That's going to be
hear me out. You send out the decoy and then you jump.
Yes.
Over the
Oh
enemy.
my god. Oh my
Especially
god.
if they're on controller. Because apparently that's really hard. So then you've got the decoy and they're jumping.
Pete Parsons. I have a player who is
jumping
cheating.
Pete.
Yeah.
But I think that's all the questions fit to print for today. So I just want to say, hey, thank you guys so much again for being on the show. It's been a pleasure to talk to you this morning, even though I know everybody had to mix. Yeah, everybody had to mix and match schedules and everything, but
I did it.
I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the effort and the time put in for my little show. Why don't we have you guys go around and tell people where they can find you on the internet? Sarah, why don't you kick us off?
Twitch.tv/verysmallhat and twitter.com/verysmallhat are my two main platforms. You can also call me Sarah, whichever you'd prefer.
Lego, what about you?
I'm Lego Flash. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube. Primarily YouTube these days, I guess. Lego LE Flash.
Nomad. You can find me YouTube and Twitter at Ascendant Nomad. Also, I have this side business which you can find at twitter.com/Danfinity. That's it does okay for itself. It's not.
You're the 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
My name's Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok at Danfinity, where the eyes are else. You can also find me on Twitch 3 days a week, helping Guardians out with in-game activities and PvE. If you'd like to support the show, remember to rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. Anything you say helps us in the algorithm. And if you'd like to give $3 a month to help keep the lights on here, head on over to coffee.com/Danfinity. That is ko-fi.com/Danfinity. All the links will be in the notes for the show. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.